What's up guys, Jordan here from RK-Tunes. We got a G80 behind me. We're gonna do intakes on it today. So we did front mount intakes a while ago on my original G80, which was also Brooklyn gray, but it was a stick shift car. We made front mount intakes, we sent it out to get reproduced, and we finally got set back a few weeks ago to do testing on to make sure the fitment and stuff is perfect. A lot of people already sung front mount intakes for these cars, but they fail in a few aspects. They're making them all out of smaller aluminum piping compared to stock. The factory intake tube on one side is 2.75 and the other side I think is about 3 inches. But it gets relatively large. Like if you look at the size of this tubing, compared to a 3.5 inch tube, right here, let's say. The 3.5 inch tube is actually a hair larger, which is what we went with. A lot of people are running 3 inch, 3.25 inch. Yes, you're gonna have gains probably because you're getting really cold air from the front of the car if you do front mounts. But it's really not that great because you're running smaller tubing than stock. Like why would you do that? You're almost better off just putting filters in the engine bay that don't remove the stock intakes versus a front mount that is smaller than stock. It's pretty dumb. So we went ahead, we matched the turbo size on the inlets on both of them, and they both expand right out. One of them, like I'll show you right now, expands right out to 3.5 inch really quickly, which is this one. So the turbo outlet on this side I think is about 2 point something inches, 2.1, 2.2, and it goes right to 3.5 inch in diameter. The other side, which is this one, starts out way larger at about, I think 2.75. And then we ran the factory size across the top to match the factory inlet. Down in there by the headlight area, we blow up into a larger size. You just shouldn't go smaller. Like people will make this dispute that if the tube's only 2 inch somewhere, no matter how big you go, it's never gonna make a difference. That's actually really not true. If you can expand it up larger and larger, there's a reason why people run things like velocity stacks on cars. Because the bigger that you can go to the opening, the easier it is for the air to get in it and a bigger filter choice. I don't care if it goes down to 2.5 inches. I'm not running an intake this big because by you expanding it, it always helps and always makes more power. This is a front mount for our car, for these cars. So I'm not installing the first test sample on my car like I wanted to. I'm gonna tune my car and stuff, and it's gonna stay stock for probably another month or so before I really go crazy on it mod-wise. We're gonna install it on this car and make sure it fits good and show you guys what's what and how to install it at the same time. That's why I did what I did in terms of designing these. And then we're gonna show you guys how it gets installed. We also have 2 filter options. We have a red filter and a blue filter. These are 2 filter color choices. The red doesn't look too crazy red in this image, I guess. They have a little RK-Tunes on the front. I'm not sure how good you guys can see these, but we got different filters previously, and we had these made to have as much surface area of filter material as possible with more on the center and the middle. And there's like no metal cups that fall out like other filters can. We don't run a stainless steel mesh filter like some other people. I don't like it, I don't believe in it. It lets way too much stuff into the motor. So these are like a cotton filter, as much surface area as it can possibly fit. We use the same filters on different cars, including X3M, and it seems to work great. We haven't had any issues. Also, I know people are gonna say about water. If your car gets fully submerged underwater, yeah, it's your cold car, just throw it out. But if you just have rain or snow, it's never ever gonna be a problem. We've sold hundreds and hundreds of intakes for these cars, and we've never had anyone hydrolock or have any major issues. Worst happens, mass airflow sensor with a ton of moisture and stuff can throw a code. But these cars don't have those, so you'll never have that problem. And you just change the filter every 8,000, 10,000 miles, or whenever you feel like it's getting dirty, you can clean it. It's a cleanable filter. So let's get to installing it. To install these intakes, it's sort of a bunch of stuff to do. Most cars, we just rip the grills right off and then go through there. Unfortunately, these grills get installed from the back of the bumper inwards towards the front. So you can't just take the grills out without the bumper coming off. So what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna take the whole bumper off. Not really that hard. So there's a lot of hardware up here. You rip the seal off. All those screws come out. Islam's gonna take the wheels off, and then he's gonna point out the rest of the hardware back here to get it out. To be honest with you, looking at this, we can probably just take the wheel well liner, loosen it, and get to the 2 8s or 10s that hold the bumper on. I don't know if you really see the wheel off, but we're gonna, because it's on a lift and we can. And then he'll show you the rest. We're gonna take the whole bumper off. He'll show you how to unplug all the sensors behind the bumper. If you have the one with a camera thing, like my car, there's gonna be another wire somewhere. I'm not showing where it is because this car's not have that. You'll have to just be careful and unplug it. So he's gonna start taking it apart. And then once the bumper's off, we'll go through a process of removing everything else. Oh, also he's gonna take all this off, the strut bar, this whole intake tube, this one, and then you'll see how we attach it to the turbos. A lot of people are trying to make like adapters to clip onto the turbo. I think it's a waste because a lot of these O-rings from BMW, in my opinion, always end up leaking anyway. They just sort of suck after 20, 30,000 miles. So we have these made so they'll clamp directly to the turbo and be super tight and never ever be able to leak. So. So he's gonna hop on this and start taking it apart.
There's a couple of sensors that need to be removed too. Air temp sensor, parking sensors.
All right, so bumper's now off, as you guys can see. Something about this car that I actually forgot about before to mention. The same thing with BMW M2 competitions, not the normal M2, just competition. This, an M2 competition, the only car I've seen that does this, compared to like an F80 M3 or a variety of other cars, on an F80 M3, in the grill area, there's ducts that go to the intake. On this car, there's absolutely nothing. So if you look in here, I'll show you in 1 second. I'll show you right this view from the front, then from the top of the duct, and I'll rip a duct out for you. So there's literally nothing here. Same on that side. And then this duct, so that duct I showed you on the car goes nowhere. So these cars from the factory just suck air in past headlight openings, past whatever they can. On an F80 M3, I wish I had one here to show you. I mean, or even, I have an M550 here, but those cars are all ducted properly. So it will pull air in when you go like really fast. It'll force air into the duct in like the front high pressure zone and actually feed the intakes. This doesn't. This is just pulling air around the headlights, wherever it can. Even the large ducts in the front, those all do not go to the intake area at all. Like at all. So super stupid design. I mean, I guess wherever it sucks air from is enough airflow for a stock car or whatever. But I mean, when you're driving and you can free up airflow, it's way better. With that being said, this now has to be trimmed. I don't know the exact cost on this piece of plastic. On F80, it was like 30 bucks. If you were to ever replace it, go back to stock completely and you're worried about having a hole. To be honest, it should be trimmed probably even if you don't buy front mounts. If you trim that, it'll actually probably be better for your car and your air temp compared to having the intakes the other way. But we're gonna trim out a little area over here so we can get the intake through it. He just got the strut bar, which is the hardware on the sides and then the middle. And then after that, he's gonna pop up these clips. Take this off. He'll show you guys how to take the clips off of the turbo and then how the new one goes on. So he cut like you guys saw. There's sort of like a factory line that you can't really see anymore, but if you follow the factory line and cut it, like this side, you should have enough room. I bet even if you had a stock car with a stock intake, well, even if you had stock intakes with some other intake, that's probably still beneficial to get actual fresh cold air into the engine bay, into the air filter range. But we're gonna see if it fits with that much trimming. If not, we'll trim more. Then you always just take a razor blade and sort of scratch against it to get rid of the hot marks if you use a hot blade. If you guys are interested in buying this intake, we will set up a pre-order. The link will be on the website. There's no need to email ever to order these. When it's on the website, it's available for sale. Once we have confirmation of like production and time frame, we'll add it to the website and probably do some sort of pre-order. Based on the time of this video to the real life of when it'll be available, I'm assuming like 2 months from the date that this video is released. It's not exact, so when I get a more exact date, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. They're in. This is pretty much the fitment of it. They're gonna sit back. If you look at this section right here, I would say about a ½ an inch that way more, like so you'll have a little more gap between them with the final pieces because we had to use other ones to fit a little bit differently because everything's a hair too long on the original ones. So we're gonna take off a little bit of each one before we get the production set. I'm just gonna get the front bumper on right now, and then we'll show you guys the engine bay side when we lower it down. Bumper's on, we got all the top side stuff done. I'll show you guys where we're at on the top. The hose clamps and stuff that we're using right now are not the correct size for this. They look a little bit long, a little janky. And then on this side, I'm not even gonna show it great, but I have a reducer because the outlet's supposed to be a different size. So that will get fixed. And then also my logo, that will get centered a little bit better. And now, as you guys probably want, everyone's probably looking for sound clips. Before I give you sound clips, go subscribe real quick, thanks, and hit the thumbs up. Because you're supposed to do that if you like this, which I bet you do because you're watching this far. So now he's gonna tighten the top brace and then you guys will see sound clips.